My wife Isabella's secret past with estranged friend Justin, a devastating truth that destroyed our entire marriage. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Thank you very much. Now let's begin the video. So since some of you have requested the complete tale, I guess I should start at the beginning. This is going to be long, but whatever. Hey Reddit. I never thought I would be posting my personal drama online, especially not on a subreddit like our relationship advice or maybe even our infidelity. But honestly, my head is spinning and I need some outside perspective. Maybe some of you have been through something similar, or maybe you can just offer some clarity because right now, everything feels foggy and unreal. Let's start with the basics. I'm Sean, 35 male, and my wife Isabella is 33 female. We've been married for 5 years, together for 7. We met through mutual friends after I'd moved back to my hometown following a pretty rough patch in my early 20s. Isabella seemed like everything I had ever wanted. She was smart, funny, ambitious, beautiful, and incredibly kind. Or so I thought. We built what I believed was a solid life together. Bought a house, adopted a dog, talked about kids eventually. You know, the standard dream. Now about that rough patch. It involved my then best friend, Justin, also 35 male. We grew up together, practically brothers. We were inseparable from kindergarten through college. We shared everything, secrets, dreams, failures. Then about 10 years ago, something happened. It was messy, confusing, and ultimately destroyed our friendship. We had a massive falling out, harsh words were exchanged, accusations flew, and we haven't spoken properly since. He moved away shortly after, and I tried to put it behind me, though it always felt like an unfinished chapter, a wound that never fully healed. The official story, the one I told everyone including Isabella, was that we grew apart due to different life paths and a stupid argument over money or something equally trivial. The truth was, I wasn't entirely sure myself what the final straw was, only that it involved a huge sense of betrayal I couldn't articulate or prove at the time. Justin became incredibly distant, accusatory, and volatile seemingly overnight. It was bewildering. Isabella knew about Justin, of course. She knew he was my childhood best friend and that we had a bad falling out. She expressed sympathy, listened patiently whenever I occasionally lamented the loss of that friendship, especially during milestone events like weddings of mutual acquaintances where his absence was noted. She always seemed supportive, agreeing that it was sad how friendships can just disintegrate. She never met him, as our relationship started years after Justin was out of my life and living elsewhere. Or, again, so I thought. So where does the story take its turn? It started subtly a few months ago. Isabella began acting distant, less communicative, more time on her phone, secretive smiles while texting. The usual signs, right? I tried talking to her, asked if everything was okay between us if she was stressed with work. She always brushed it off, saying she was just tired or busy. But the gut feeling, that nagging intuition, wouldn't leave me alone. I felt like I was back in that confusing period with Justin, sensing something was wrong but unable to pinpoint it. The big reveal didn't come from snooping, not initially. It happened because of a random, stupid coincidence. We were cleaning out the attic, sorting through old boxes. I found a dusty box labeled college keepsakes. Inside were old photos, yearbooks, letters. Nostalgia hit me hard. I found pictures of me and Justin goofing off, looking young and carefree. Isabella was helping me sort, picking up an old photo album I hadn't looked at in years. She froze, like statue still. Her face went completely pale. I asked her what was wrong. She mumbled something about a dust allergy, but her eyes were wide, fixed on a specific page in the album. Curiosity piqued. I took it from her hands. It was a page filled with photos from a college party, one I barely remembered. And there, in the background of several shots, was Isabella. Not just Isabella, but Isabella laughing with Justin. Isabella with her arm linked through Justin's. Isabella looking at Justin with an expression I recognized all too well, because it was the same look she used to give me. My blood ran cold. I looked at her, then back at the photos. "Sean," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "what is this?" "You know Justin?" Her composure shattered. Tears welled up instantly. She started stammering, trying to explain. Yes, she knew him. They dated, in college, before she ever met me. Dated? That wasn't just dating in those photos. That looked serious. Why had she never mentioned this, ever? We had talked extensively about our past relationships. She told me about her college boyfriends, her high school sweetheart. Justin's name never came up, not once. And thinking back, Justin never mentioned dating anyone named Isabella either. But then again, our final year was so fraught with tension, maybe he just didn't share details like that anymore. I pressed her. Why the secrecy? Why lie by omission for 7 years? Her explanation was weak. She said it was before my time, that it ended badly, and she knew Justin and I had fallen out, so she didn't want to complicate things or open old wounds. She claimed she didn't realize the guy she dated was my Justin until much later, after we were already serious, seeing his picture in an old photo I had. Even then, she chose to stay silent. It sounded plausible, barely, but my gut was screaming that there was more to it. The look on her face wasn't just embarrassment or awkwardness, it was pure panic, and her timeline about when she supposedly realized the connection felt shaky. How could she not know? Justin and I were legendary in our shared social circles back then. Over the next few days, the atmosphere in our house was thick with tension. I couldn't look at Isabella without seeing those photos, without feeling this sickening sense of unease. Her explanation kept replaying in my mind, poking holes in itself. If they just dated briefly and it ended badly, why the extreme reaction? Why the years of absolute silence? Why did it feel connected to my falling out with Justin? I couldn't shake the feeling that her relationship with Justin wasn't just some casual college thing she conveniently forgot to mention. The timing felt suspicious too. Their apparent relationship coincided roughly with the period when Justin started acting erratically towards me, the period leading up to our big fight. I decided I needed answers, real answers, not the sanitized version Isabella was offering. This wasn't about snooping anymore. It was about understanding the foundation of my own marriage, my own past. I did something I'm not proud of, but felt necessary. I checked our old shared cloud storage, the one we used years ago for photos before migrating everything. I remembered Isabella mentioning she had uploaded a bunch of her old digital photos there when we first combined households. I searched for folders from her college years, and there it was, a folder innocuously labeled Spring Break Cancun. Inside were dozens of photos of Isabella and Justin, not just casual party pics. These were intimate. Beach sunsets, dinners, goofy selfies, kissing. Lots of kissing. They looked deeply in love. The dates on the photos confirmed they were together for well over a year, maybe closer to 2, spanning the exact time my friendship with Justin imploded. But that wasn't the worst discovery. Buried deeper in another folder mislabeled as uni projects, I found scanned letters. Letters between Isabella and Justin. Passionate letters, full of future plans, inside jokes, declarations of love. They were planning a life together. And then the final blow, a draft of an email from Isabella to Justin, dated just weeks before our big fight, the one that ended our friendship. It was a breakup email, but not just any breakup. She was breaking up with him because she had cheated on him. She didn't name the person in the draft, just referred to him, and how it was a mistake, but she couldn't deny her feelings. She wrote about feeling torn, confused, but ultimately choosing this other person. She apologized profusely for the hurt she was causing Justin. My mind raced. Who was the other guy? Could it have been me? No, I hadn't even met Isabella then. I didn't meet her until years later. But the timing, Justin became a wreck around that time. Accusatory, paranoid, angry. He accused me of vague betrayals of things that made no sense. Could he have suspected me, or someone close to me? Did Isabella's cheating somehow get twisted around in his mind, or perhaps by someone else, to point fingers at me? The pieces started clicking together, forming a horrifying picture. Isabella dated my best friend for nearly 2 years. She cheated on him. She broke his heart, likely contributing massively to his downward spiral and paranoia. That spiral led directly to the destruction of our friendship. And then, years later, she met me, his estranged best friend, and built a life with me, all while burying this colossal secret. She watched me mourn the loss of my friendship with Justin, knowing she was a primary catalyst for it. I felt nauseous. Betrayed doesn't even begin to cover it. This wasn't just about her hiding a past relationship. This was about her actively participating in the event that caused me immense pain years ago, and then lying about it, embedding herself into my life under false pretenses. Our entire relationship, our marriage, felt like a lie. Her kindness, her support, her sympathy over my lost friendship, was it all guilt masquerading as love? I confronted her again, this time with the photos and the email draft laid out on the coffee table. There was no more stammering, no more weak excuses. Just tears and a full confession. Yes, they were serious, very serious. Yes, she cheated on him. She confirmed the timeline. She admitted that the breakup devastated Justin. She confessed that when she met me years later, she recognized my name instantly, heard the stories about Justin's best friend Sean, and knew exactly who I was. She panicked but was also drawn to me. She decided to keep the secret, hoping it would never come out. She admitted that every time I mentioned Justin, every time I expressed sadness over our broken friendship, she felt a pang of guilt but chose her own comfort, her own secret over the truth. She claimed she genuinely fell in love with me, that her feelings for me were real, separate from her past with Justin. She said the guilt ate at her sometimes, but she justified it by telling herself that revealing the truth would only cause unnecessary pain, dredging up a past that was long dead. She believed she was protecting me, protecting us, protecting me, or protecting herself, protecting the comfortable life she built on a foundation of lies and manipulation. The conversation was long, agonizing. She cried, she begged for forgiveness, she said she would do anything to fix it. She asked, "Can we please try to work through this? I know I messed up horribly, but I love you, Sean. Our life together is real." But how could I? How could I look at her the same way? How could I trust anything she said? The woman I married was intrinsically linked to the biggest heartbreak of my youth, the loss of my best friend. She wasn't just aware of the situation, she was a central figure in it. She watched me suffer the consequences of actions she took. I told her I needed space. I packed a bag and went to stay at my brother's place. That was 3 days ago. My brother knows something is seriously wrong, but I haven't been able to tell him the whole story yet. It feels too raw, too humiliating. Isabella has been calling and texting nonstop. Apologies, declarations of love, promises to change, suggestions for therapy. I haven't responded much. My mind is a mess of anger, grief, and confusion. It feels like I'm mourning 2 relationships now, my marriage and all over again my friendship with Justin. I keep thinking about Justin. Does he know I married Isabella? Given he moved away and cut ties, probably not. Would it matter if he did? Does he still hate me? Does he know the real reason Isabella broke up with him, or did he believe some other lie? Did Isabella ever tell him the truth about who she cheated with? The email draft didn't say. This loose end gnaws at me. Part of me wants to reach out to Justin, to finally clear the air after a decade of silence and misunderstanding. To tell him I know what happened, or at least part of it. To apologize for whatever part he thought I played. But I don't even know where he is or how to contact him. And is that even a good idea? Would it just rip open old wounds for both of us? And what about Isabella? Can a marriage survive this level of deception? Is love enough to overcome a betrayal that fundamentally alters your shared history and understanding of each other? She lied for 7 years, actively deceiving me about something monumental. It wasn't a small white lie. It was a cover-up of her role in destroying my most important prior relationship. I feel like my entire adult life has been unknowingly shaped by this one secret. My friendship ended, I moved back home partly because of that turmoil. I met Isabella. It all traces back to her and Justin. So Reddit, here I am, sitting on my brother's couch feeling completely lost. What should I do? Should I try couples therapy, or is the foundation too rotten? Should I seek out Justin, or leave the past buried? How do I even begin to process this? Am I the asshole if I just walk away from my marriage without even trying therapy, given the depth of this lie? Any advice or perspective would be immensely helpful right now. I feel like I'm drowning. Update 1. Wow, Reddit, I honestly didn't expect this kind of response. Hundreds of comments, DMs, awards, thank you. Seriously, reading through your advice and support has been incredibly grounding over the past week. It made me feel less alone in this clusterfuck. A lot of you shared similar stories, which was heartbreaking but also weirdly comforting. Misery loves company, I guess. Or maybe it just helps to know others have navigated similar betrayals. Many of you urged me to prioritize myself, get legal advice, and definitely not rug sweep this. The overwhelming consensus was that the level of deception was too profound for a simple, let's try therapy fix, especially given Isabella's role wasn't just hiding an ex, but hiding her involvement in the very event that deeply wounded me years ago. You guys validated my feelings that this wasn't just a simple omission. So, what have I done? Well, I stayed at my brother's. I finally told him everything, and let me tell you, he was furious on my behalf. Having his support has been crucial. He helped me see things more clearly, cutting through the emotional fog. I took your advice and consulted a lawyer, not because I had definitively decided on divorce yet, but because I needed to understand my options and protect myself. The lawyer was very practical, explaining the process, financial implications, and the importance of documenting everything. It was a sobering conversation, but necessary. Isabella continued her attempts to contact me. Emails, texts, voicemails full of tears and pleas. She even showed up at my brother's place once, but he handled it, telling her firmly that I needed space and she needed to respect that. I agreed to meet her in a neutral location, a coffee shop, just to talk face to face one more time since the initial confrontation. The meeting was difficult. She looked awful, sleep-deprived and stressed. She reiterated her love, her remorse. She tried to explain her reasoning again, how fear and shame kept her silent. She insisted the person she cheated on Justin with was irrelevant, someone from her past she cut ties with immediately after realizing her mistake with Justin. She swore it had nothing to do with me or my circle of friends back then. She emphasized that her love for me was real, that our marriage was real, despite the lie it was partially built on. I listened. But read it, the trust is just gone, completely shattered. Every word she spoke, I questioned its sincerity. I saw the calculating fear behind the tears, the fear of losing the life she had built. I asked her directly if I hadn't found those photos, would you ever have told me? She hesitated. Then quietly she admitted, probably not, I was too scared. That sealed it for me. It wasn't about protecting me, it was about protecting herself, her comfort, her image, her life. My pain, my history, my right to know the truth about my own life and relationships were secondary. I told her I couldn't move past it. I couldn't unsee the connection between her actions and the loss of my best friend, the years of confusion and sadness I felt over it, all while she stood by my side offering empty sympathy. I told her I needed to file for divorce. Her reaction was explosive, tears turned to anger. She accused me of throwing away our life, of not loving her enough to forgive her, of being unwilling to fight for us. She said I was making a huge mistake. Maybe I am, but living with this lie, with this person I now see as a stranger who manipulated me for years. That feels like a bigger mistake. So divorce proceedings have started. It's going to be messy, I know. We have a house, shared assets. Thankfully, no kids involved, which simplifies things slightly but doesn't lessen the emotional toll. Now, about Justin. This is the part many of you were curious about. Should I contact him? The opinions were divided. Some said yes, clear the air, potentially regain a friend. Others warned it could backfire, open old wounds unnecessarily, or that he might not want to hear from me. I wrestled with this, a lot. What purpose would it serve? Closure for me. An explanation for him, justice. Revenge against Isabella. I realized my motivation was murky, but the feeling that Justin deserved to know the truth, or at least my side of things and what I now knew, wouldn't go away. He suffered too, possibly more directly because of Isabella's actions. He lost his girlfriend and his best friend in quick succession, under circumstances that were likely confusing and painful, possibly filled with misplaced blame aimed at me. I decided to try and find him. Not easy after 10 years of no contact. Social media was a dead end. He seemed to have dropped off the map. Old mutual friends I cautiously reached out to hadn't heard from him in years either. It felt like a sign, maybe I should just let it go. But then my brother, the MVP, worked some magic. He remembered Justin's sister's married name and found her online. He reached out carefully, explained who he was, and asked if she could pass along my contact info to Justin, saying I had something important I needed to discuss regarding our past. No pressure, just an offer to talk if he was willing. A few days later, I got an email from Justin. It was short, cautious. He asked what this was about. My heart pounded reading his name in my inbox after so long. I replied honestly but briefly. I told him I recently discovered some information about why our friendship ended, specifically involving Isabella, whom I had married, and that I realized things might not have been as they seemed back then. I said I understood if he didn't want to dredge up the past, but if he was willing, I'd like to talk, maybe clear the air. He responded almost immediately. He was shocked I had married Isabella. He said he had no idea. And yes, he wanted to talk. He gave me his phone number. Making that call was one of the hardest things I've ever done. We talked for over 2 hours. It was awkward at first, stilted. But then, the dam broke. I told him everything I found out about Isabella, the photos, the letters, the email draft, her confession. I told him how she hid it all from me for 7 years, Justin was quiet for a long time after I finished. Then he told me his side. Isabella had told him she cheated, but she never said with whom. She just said it made her realize she didn't love him anymore. The vagueness, combined with the timing of other minor disagreements we were having, allowed his hurt and anger to fester. He admitted he started suspecting everyone, including me, especially when I seemed oblivious to his pain, which I was, because I had no idea what was really going on. He confessed he said things he regretted, fueled by heartbreak and paranoia. He never had proof I did anything, but in his pain, he lashed out and pushed me away, and I pushed back. He told me Isabella completely ghosted him after the breakup email, changed her number, blocked him online. He had no closure, just immense pain and confusion. Hearing that she then married me years later, he said it was like a punch to the gut, but also, strangely, it made everything make sense. Her silence, her disappearance, maybe even some of the vague accusations he had hurled my way, perhaps subconsciously connecting dots he didn't even know existed. We talked about Isabella, about the betrayal we both experienced from her, albeit years apart. We talked about our lost friendship. There were apologies from both sides. Me for not understanding or being there for him even though I didn't know why. Him for the accusations and for shutting me out. It wasn't a magic fix. 10 years of silence and hurt don't vanish in one phone call. But it was a start. A huge, significant start. We agreed to keep in touch, maybe meet up when things settled down. It felt like a massive weight had been lifted. Understanding the real reason for the rift was incredibly cathartic. So that's where I am now. Divorce is moving forward. Isabella is alternating between angry outbursts and pleading messages. I've blocked her number for now, communicating only through lawyers. It hurts like hell, losing my marriage, but the sense of clarity is growing. Reconnecting with Justin, even tentatively, feels like reclaiming a piece of my past that Isabella's deceit had tainted. It's going to be a long road. Healing, rebuilding. But for the first time in weeks, I feel like I'm moving forward, not just drowning. Your advice played a big part in that, Reddit, helping me see the situation for what it was and giving me the courage to take action. So thanks again. I might post another update down the line when the dust settles more. Update 2. Hello again, Reddit. It's been several months since my last update and wow, life has certainly changed. I promised an update when the dust settled, and while it's maybe not fully settled, the landscape is definitely clearer. Reading back my original post feels like reading about someone else entirely. The support I got here was phenomenal, truly a lifeline when I was feeling completely adrift. Never thought so many people would read my situation and offer such solid advice. Some friends did message me asking if the story was mine. I admitted it to a couple of close ones, confirming I changed minor details for anonymity, but the core events were true. The divorce from Isabella is finalized. It wasn't pretty. As predicted, it got contentious. Once Isabella realized there was zero chance of reconciliation, her demeanor shifted from remorseful to bitter and angry. She tried to paint me as unreasonable, cruel even, for ending the marriage over a past mistake. Her lawyer tried to argue for a larger share of the assets, citing emotional distress, which my lawyer thankfully shut down quickly by pointing out the circumstances of the marriage's breakdown originated from her prolonged deception. The most satisfying part, if you can call it that, was the quiet revenge that unfolded naturally, exactly as some of you suggested might happen. It wasn't about actively seeking vengeance, but more about the truth having consequences. During the asset division process, the reasons for the divorce became implicitly clear through our legal filings, especially concerning the timeline of her deception. While we didn't air all the dirty laundry publicly, enough information filtered through our lawyers that the narrative couldn't be spun entirely in her favor. Furthermore, word got around our extended social circle. Not because I went on a campaign, but because people ask questions when a marriage suddenly implodes. I was honest, though discreet, with close friends who asked directly. I simply stated that I discovered Isabella had hidden significant aspects of her past, including a serious relationship with Justin that predated us, and that the nature and timing of this hidden past were directly linked to my falling out with him years ago, making continued trust impossible. I didn't need to spell out the cheating or the manipulation. The implications were clear enough. The fallout for Isabella was significant, socially speaking. People weren't overtly hostile, but there was a definite cooling. Invitations dried up. Mutual friends became distant. She had built this image of the supportive, loving wife, and the revelation that this image concealed such a calculated, long-term deception shattered it. It wasn't the loud, dramatic revenge some might fantasize about, but seeing the natural consequences of her actions unfold, seeing her lose the social standing she valued, felt like a form of quiet justice. She isolated herself through her own choices. And what about Justin? Our communication continued after that first phone call. Slowly, carefully, we started rebuilding. We met up a few times for coffee, then dinner. It was surreal, sitting across from him after a decade, talking like adults instead of the wounded young men we were. We talked about everything, not just Isabella, but our lives over the past 10 years, our careers, our families. We acknowledged the pain and the lost time, but we focused on the present. Isabella's betrayal, ironically, became the catalyst for repairing our friendship. Understanding that a shared deception was at the root of our conflict allowed us to forgive each other more easily. Justin is doing well. He's married, has a kid. He holds no ill will towards me, only sadness for the years we lost. He expressed immense relief at finally understanding what really happened back then. He said knowing the truth, even though painful, was better than the confusing anger he carried for years. We're not kids anymore, and while our friendship will never be exactly what it was, it's something new, something mature, and something I value immensely. Having him back in my life, even in this new capacity, feels like a huge win. As for me, I'm doing okay. Really okay. The divorce was rough, selling the house we shared was painful, but stepping out of that situation felt like shedding a heavy weight. I've been focusing on myself. Therapy, highly recommend, reconnecting with friends and family, rediscovering hobbies I'd let slide. I moved into a new apartment that feels like mine. It's smaller, but it's peaceful. Therapy helped me process the grief, the anger, and the feeling of being duped. It helped me understand that Isabella's actions were about her own issues, her own fears, and not a reflection of my worth. It also helped me explore my own patterns and why I might have missed or ignored earlier, smaller signs. I'm not dating yet, not quite ready for that, but I'm optimistic about the future. The experience, as awful as it was, taught me a lot about trust, boundaries, and the importance of open communication. It also showed me my own resilience. I went through hell, but I came out the other side stronger and with a clearer sense of what I want and deserve in a relationship. So the positive ending many of you hoped for. I think I'm getting there. It's not a fairy tale ending, but it's a realistic one. I lost a marriage built on lies, but I regained a piece of my past, forged a stronger bond with my brother, learned a lot about myself, and cleared the path for a more authentic future. The revenge wasn't a plot, just the inevitable crumbling of a facade when exposed to light. And frankly, her self-inflicted isolation is consequence enough. My focus now is on my own healing and moving forward. Looking back, walking away was the right decision. Trying to repair that marriage would have meant living with a constant reminder of the betrayal, constantly questioning everything. I chose peace of mind and authenticity instead. So Reddit, I guess this is the final chapter for now. Thank you for being my sounding board, my advisors, and my virtual support group. You helped a stranger navigate the darkest period of his life. While I wouldn't wish this experience on anyone, I'm grateful for where I've landed. Now, I just need to keep moving forward. Maybe the question isn't AITAH anymore, but rather, what amazing things can I build for myself now that I'm free? Food for thought. Thanks again, everyone. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.